on this episode of True Friend with Cory Montell Scott.
So we go off into a quiet corner. He pulls out the boombox and he hits the button. What comes on is this. Someone asked a question. Someone asked a question. Why do we sing? Why do we sing? And I said, Kurt, that actually is a pretty good song. Do you have the version without you? Because obviously, this is just a rehearsal tape where you're teaching the choir the song. He goes, nah, dog, this is it. There's something new I'm working on. I want to say it. Didn't they sing it? I do it. Didn't they sing it? And record it and put it out just like that. And this is what I said, Cory. Get out of here. That would never sell.
If you need a helping hand, let me tell you about a friend. He won't switch up on you, he'll love you through and through. In your time of need, he'll be a true friend indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of True Friend with Cory Montell Scott. Now, if you want to stay up to date on future episodes, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. Listen, today we have someone who is kind of hard to define this person because he wears like 7 or 8 different hats. He's widely known as the godfather of gospel jazz. So he's a musician, he's a producer, he's a pastor, he's a reality star, he's an aircraft pilot. I mean, what doesn't he do? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Ben Tankard.
Cory, what's going on, nephew? You good?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Man, thanks for hanging with Unc today, man. I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. You're knocking it out the park. And so thank you so much for making me part of your story for today. Come on now.
Listen, and you're so influential and inspirational outside of just your music. I mean, even in the words that you just shared with me, I appreciate every single thing. I want to ask you because, you heard me mention that you wear a plethora of hats. Who has Ben Tankard to you, and how would you define yourself to someone who has never met or heard of you before?
I can't quite explain what I am, but I can tell you what I'm not, and I'm not a one-trick pony. I believe in the comma. I believe that life sometimes can give you a period, but just say Sally got pregnant in college or in high school. She'll be branded as Sally, the girl that got pregnant in the 15th, in the 10th grade. Oh yeah, that's Sally. She got pregnant in school, period. So people will put a period behind your name. But God says that's Sally, the high school dropout, comma, the congresswoman now, comma, the musician, the writer, the mother, the sister, comma. So I believe in embracing commas in your life. And when you do that, you can't be pinpoint. I started out as a kid in the hood in Central Florida, one that was raised in poverty, went to play basketball and made it all the way to the NBA. So there's basketball. But I got injured and cut, got into music, musician, then pastor, then pilot, then the COVID comes and I learned how to digital trade because the concerts are dried up. So I'm at home learning how to do Bitcoin and stocks and bonds and binary trading. So I become a master trader and make more on a computer in 10 minutes with trading stocks and binary options than I was doing a 2-hour concert. So now there's another comma, binary trader, then real estate investor. We got 216 properties we have interest in that we've invested in. So who knows what's next? So I don't know what I am, but what I'm not is a one-trick pony.
That's the first time anyone's ever answered that question that way. But I love it because, I think that really speaks to the hand of the Lord on your life to be able to say there are so many things that I am that is hard to define, but I'll tell you what I'm not. I think it's amazing. So really just over this week, I've followed your career for a very long time, but I've really dug very deep into it. So, watching Thicker Than Water and going through your discography, what do you believe has sustained you for these past 30 years, over past 30 years in the industry?
I believe gratitude and humility, because talent comes and goes. But if you're nice, if you're sweet, if you're kind, if you're full of gratitude, then you can develop relationships on the way that will sustain you beyond the present. Everybody's trying to go viral. Everybody just want to have a moment. Everyone has a hit. Even a blind squirrel will find a nut every now and then. Come on, talk to me. So, so beyond knocking it out the park with gospel jazz music and writing hits, I know if I stop and I talk to the pastor, his wife, his children, his membership, then even if I don't have a hit, I can always work because they remember how kind Ben Tankard was, and they'll make me part of their anniversaries and their celebrations, and I'll always be able to have something to do because people remember how you made them feel, not what you knew.
I think that's incredible. I am definitely a testament to your kindness and how down to earth you are. And it's sadly, unfortunately, it's not something that you come across even in gospel music. The truth be told, where you meet someone and they are as kind as the artist presents themselves to be. So I appreciate you for representing the God who gave you the gift and not letting the gift go to your head. You told a very interesting story. When I saw you a couple of Wednesdays ago at my church, shout out to Christian Outreach, Pastor Glenn Ussery. I was surprised to know that you actually started out as a dog catcher, because, oh my gosh, to think about you being a dog catcher and then you having the gift to play and that opening up doors for you still in a career that wasn't necessarily something that you would fit in. What would you say has been your proudest moment in your career?
Oh, there are several, Cory, and one was when I had the opportunity to listen to a demo tape for Yolanda Adams. I had left the NBA with an injury. 5 years, I'm a dog catcher. You remember the story. I get hired as a music demonstrator in a keyboard store. I develop a home studio from working at that store. I began to record beats in my garage, and I came out with my own recording. And Maddie Moss Clark heard me at one of her conventions at the Kojic meeting in Memphis and put me on her stage. There happened to be somebody in the audience from Nashville that was looking for talent. And they signed me to a instrumental contract with a company in Nashville, moved me to Nashville. And then they said this: because you are Black and you know Black people and you might can find some Black singers, why don't we just make you the president? It's a white company. Why don't we make you the president of this new Black division? We own it, but we'll give you $1 million of budget. Go find some artists, go discover some people, and let's see what happens. Somebody sent me Yolanda Adams tape. I called Yolanda, I never forget it, asked her if she wanted to come into the studio. She says, I need to get a note for my principal because I'm a third grade school teacher and I just can't come into the studio for no 2 weeks with you, Ben Tankard. So I had to write a note to her principal so she can get off from work. She came in the studio, we started recording, put the record out, and the rest is history. We did 40 hits together. But my biggest moment in my music career was when I made the connection with that voice, Yolanda Adams.
That's so amazing. And even working with Twinkie Clark, Take Six, a lot of the names that have come up during my research about you, your humility, because you have the right, if I can say this, if you know what I mean, if anybody has the right to kind of walk around with a little bit of an ego, I would think it would be someone like Ben Tankard, because you've gone through so many doors, even outside of the church. I mean, we're talking about a widely successful reality television show on the Bravo network that even ended up going into syndication on BET. What has been your prayer as far as how you want the Lord to keep you postured before him to continue having those doors opened up?
That's a good question, Cory. I asked God to put me in the audience of people that can recognize what God has put in me and take it to the next level and give me the ability to help them as well. It was an honor when I met you. It was an honor when I met your pastor, and your pastor started bragging on you, and I started stalking your YouTube shows, and I'm so very proud of you, and I'm proud of what Pastor Glenn is doing, And I was raised very, very poor, so I didn't have anything. Welfare peanut butter, powdered eggs, powdered milk, hamburger helper. Sometimes didn't have no hamburger in it at all. So I know what it's like to have nothing. And so my mom always said, Benny, that's what she called me. She said, Benny, we are in the ghetto, but the ghetto is not in us. We're in poverty, but poverty is not in us. And she said, as you grow up, I may not see it this generation, but you're going to be a millionaire. You're going to be successful. And the higher you go, I need for you to remember where you came from. If anybody, I never forget it, she said, if anybody is going to have an attitude, let it be somebody that ain't got nothing. But when you're blessed, the higher you go, the sweeter you should be, the kinder you should be, the more generous you should be. So, I'm worth $10 million. I got homes in 4 states. I got 9 cars, 2 airplanes. I'm part of investing in 200 properties. But the higher I go, the nicer I try to be, Cory.
One of the things also that I found that was very interesting, you told the story about how when you went to church because you were depressed, facing homelessness, which you and I identify on that. I've been homeless twice and have had to wait for God to restore me ×2, sometimes ×3. And I know that feeling all too well. So when you went to church and you began to play, not knowing that you had this gift, but you began to do it, and you started to make the merge between gospel and jazz. I want to ask you a very important question, I think, as a fellow musician. Where do you think the line is between being creative in God and being what church calls lukewarm or worldly or just completely out of order as far as the limits of our creativity?
That is such a powerful question, and you're such a phenomenal interviewer. You know how to get into the weeds. That's such a phenomenal question because we got 26 alphabet notes. We got 26 letters in the alphabet, English language. And we got all these words that can be used. We got all the words that can be used, and nobody has a problem with sharing the word and, whether it's in the kingdom or out the kingdom. Nobody has the problem sharing the word everything or almighty or hello or goodbye. Anybody can use any letter and any word, whether they're at a secular job or they're at their church, and nobody says anything. It's only when you take instruments and music and notes and they put us in this hole and say, you can only use notes for Christian music. You can't play secular notes, but you can type secular data entry on your job and it's okay. But I can't play keyboard entry for Janet Jackson without going to hell. It's just such a different hypocritical look. And music is just words with notes added, with music added. It's just conversation. And so that is a very, very thin line. My thing with gospel jazz is I see gospel as the jazz as the vehicle and gospel, which is good news, as the passenger. So I use my music to carry the message of God's goodness, and I've been more successful on the jazz side than on the gospel side because jazz embraces instrumental music. I just finished a new single, which is probably my most polished worship single of my 30-year career, Holy Forever. We sent it to XM Radio, the gospel station. I think it's called Kurt Franklin's Praise. They say we can't play it because it's instrumental. And so that's why I have to go viral on the jazz stations that play instrumental, because even the Christian folks, they put you in a hole and say, well, because it doesn't have a lot of words on it, because it doesn't have a lot of singing on it, we can't do it. But I don't get upset about that. I'm just sharing it, just to make a point. I believe you just do what God called you to do, and He'll open the doors and He'll get you into the places where you need to get in. You just remain full of gratitude for what God has given and let Him do the multiplication.
I mean, some of the world's greatest musicians come from the church. When I think of you and I think of Corey Henry, when I think of PJ Morton,
Yeah.
all these great names, even vocalists, watching how your gift, your instrumental gift, your heart poured so much out into the way that you play keys that you ended up on an Office Depot commercial for 2 years, you and Yolanda Adams.
Yes, sir.
Incredible thing. But you're right. Nobody says it when Kenny G does it, and nobody says it when the other artists do it. But I love that you're aware enough to know when it's right, and when it's wrong, and that never takes you off of the course that you're on. Because I can think of 10 people, even myself, where if I feel like a certain thing isn't being received in a certain way, I'm going to try to change it up. Okay, now I got to change my formula. Now I got to do this.
Wow.
So what do you have to say to musicians or creators or recording artists who may be in the same way that you are, where they're being told that we can't market this in a particular way because it's to this or not enough this? What do you have to say about musicians who are maybe thinking about changing their stylistics?
I would say this: be yourself, because everyone else is already taken. Don't wander away from your standards and what God has given you. Just become rich enough to not care. What I mean by that is sometimes your passion don't feed you. Sometimes your passion didn't get the memo that it was supposed to pay the light bill. Just because you love to do it don't mean it's going to grab the mortgage for you this month. And so I believe any musician that can sing in more than one key, and any musician that can play in more than one key, is also creative enough to have more than one business, including the music business. So if the music business is saying, hey, we tripping on you right now. The gatekeepers are tripping on you right now. Right now, nobody cares. Okay, well, get rich as a stockbroker, get rich with real estate, get rich on something else, and then come back and take the resource from that and pay for the platforms where you want to take your music. Because you have enough money, you can make the decisions yourself rather than hope somebody likes you enough to play your music. You have your own channel. Okay, everybody come watch me on my channel. This is my channel. So I don't have to worry about getting on this XM or that FM or that AM. So what you said, no. I can do my own thing right here and let the people see what God has given me. And I don't have to make money on it because I made my million on this over here. So when you increase your streams, then you don't get caught up into just this one stream, pun intended, with the Spotifys and the Amazons and the XMs that might not say you match our formula right now.
If you can't tell already, you have an amazing way with words. You and your lovely wife pastor Destiny Center Church. What is or has been the most rewarding thing to you about pastoring?
Oh my goodness. I started pastoring not because I wanted to be a pastor, but because I was raised, my parents were pastors, and they're always broke. So the last thing I wanted, being raised in poverty, was to be a pastor, because my folks believed that the poorer you were, the closer you were to God. And then when I got up and started seeing prosperity gospel and other people like that, how they gave people such a hard time when the pastor had a decent car or a decent home. The last thing I wanted to do was be a pastor, because I always wanted to be rich. I wanted to go to the NBA and make millions. I wanted to drop it like it was hot. So I was like, the last thing I wanted was be a pastor. But when I became a gospel jazz recording artist, as an instrumentalist, Cory, you know this: if you're not singing on stage and you're just playing music, black folks start talking. They start chit-chatting. They turn you into a lounge lizard. They would totally disrespect your gift. So you just background music for their conversation if you don't have something to say. So what I did, just to engage the people, is I started telling testimonies. I would read during the week and find out like Les Brown, get a good story, put a scripture with it. And in between my songs, I would tell a story that had a theme that would encourage somebody, that led to the next story, the next song. And what happened, people started booking me and they said, hey man, we want you to do this 2-hour concert, but you ain't really got to do but 30 minutes of music. We really want those words you saying. We want you to talk. We want you to preach. We want you to teach. That's how I knew I was called the pastor. Wow. People began to book me and say, hey, you can come do the music, but talk to us too, encourage us too, motivate us too. And that's how when me and Jewel got married, we started doing a Bible study in our home, and it grew to 40 people real quick in the living room. And my wife said, honey, this ain't no Bible study, this is a church. And I need for you and Jesus to get y'all own space because that's too many people using my bathroom. So that's how we became a church. And it's a labor of love. It's under 200 people. It's not a mega church. I call it my own personal SWAT team. I'm not looking for a big army. I'm looking for a small group, Gideon's army, 300 or less, that I can highly train, that we can go into the enemy's camp and take the enemy out before the enemy even know we were there.
What do you believe is the biggest misconception, especially as blessed as you are, with however many planes and cars, that gorgeous home? What do you think is the biggest misconception about pastors?
That all they want is your money. That is such a stereotype that stereotype is probably as present, that all preachers want your money, as all Black folks commit crimes. Those two are running neck and neck as 1 and 2, the biggest lies in the country. All Black folks are crooks, and all preachers want is your money.
You heard me mention that you have, I want to say it correctly, how many planes do you own, sir?
I'm down to 2, Cory.
2. I must be. See, now I'm like Miss Jewel. Now I'm seeing more in the spirit. But what encouraged you to become an aircraft pilot? Where did that come from? Because I would think that you are so busy that you hardly have time to dream of anything else.
That was really God working on my future. Because when I came to Nashville and I began to do gospel jazz music, when they sent the music out first, the promoters sent it to the gospel stations and said, this is instrumental. This guy calls it gospel jazz. We don't know what it is. However you want to play it is fine with us. You can put it behind commercials. You can put it behind your funerals and your prayers. We don't even know what we got. And I thought that was the kiss of death for my career because, when you produce an artist and you promote an artist, you want to say, hey, do you have the new single? Oh, you got to play this. These people sent out everything to 1,000 stations and said, we got this guy on our label. We don't know what it is, but any way you play him, we'll be appreciative of it. And so what happened was, if you a hit artist like Yolanda or Kurt, you get 8 or 10 spins a day. If you're a mid artist like a quartet, 4 spins a day. If you're new artist, 1 spin a day. So you got light, medium, heavy rotation. Heavy rotation like 10 times a day. But when I came out back in the 90s, they didn't have any music that they could use that was Christian-based for their commercials or their prayers. And so anybody that listens to gospel radio knows that there is 10, 15 commercials an hour. So what happened was they wasn't playing Ben Tankard and saying, that was Ben Tankard's new song. But they was playing the music behind every commercial, 10 and 20 commercials an hour, 100 times a day, times 600 or 700 stations. And I got paid for that. So I was rich before I was famous. I thought it was a curse, but it was God working behind the scenes. I didn't care about them shouting my name as long as they was playing me behind every commercial and sending me 5 or 10 cents for every commercial. Come on now. that added up. And so sometimes what you think is meant for your harm, like the word says, is really meant for your good. So you just count it all joy and watch God mix it up in the end. And the reason I started to play, my story was about the aviation, is that because of that, my schedule began to grow and people began to book me on the Christian side and the jazz side. And I wasn't able to make all my events. So I said, maybe I'll get a tour bus. I tried to do a tour bus, took you 16 hours to get anywhere. And I said, well, maybe I'll start flying commercial. Well, American really didn't want to fly my schedule because if I'm in Cincinnati on Friday night, I need to be in New York before 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. American's first flight wasn't until 9:30. So I said, how am I going to get to my events? It takes too long to drive. And then I met Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith in Nashville, who were the only Christian artists that had their own airplane. And they said, Ben, you know, if you got a schedule to support it, this is a tool. You do it at a concert, you don't have to wait till the next morning to catch American. You can go to the next city that night, 24 hours. It's like having your own car. Don't wait for the city bus, just go. And that's how I got into aviation. And I began to learn how to fly just because I wanted to know how to land what I owned. And I grew a love for it. And I began to hire flight instructors to work for me. So they would fly me to my events, but I'd sit up front and watch them and learn what they were doing. And so that's how I got my instrument rating and my ratings. And now I have enough hours. You only have to have 1,000 hours to apply to be an airline captain. I got 2,500 hours. I could go to Delta and American if I wanted to, but I just do it for myself. And over the years, I've owned and operated, bought and sold over 30 airplanes. How's that possible for somebody that came up in the ghetto, family didn't even have a car? I had to ride a bicycle to school, but God.
I want to touch on a very serious topic really quickly. This month we've seen a lot of tragedy involving airplanes, and there's been a sudden rise in fear amongst the public. What do you have to say regarding that? The recent rise in fear of flying due to some of the tragedies we've seen this month.
Yeah, and it can be polarizing because we're moved by what we see. But at any given time, there are 8,000 airplanes in the air in America. And so really, our air traffic control system is actually quite good. Every now and then you hear about a crash, but you're talking about 8,000 flights a day, and you only hear about a crash every now and then. And so I would encourage you all to you people that are listening, don't allow this to set fear in your heart. You got to plead the blood of Jesus over your car. In fact, there's a bigger chance of you having an accident in your car than an airplane crash. And I was just telling a basketball buddy of mine today, I went play basketball this morning at the gym, and he gave me the same question as you. Tank, how you flying, man? How you feel about this with these airplanes? Well, really, I believe we should be more concerned because we're on the interstate at 80 to 90 miles an hour, sometimes less than 2 feet away from the car next to us, and we're texting. So your fear doesn't need to be on the airplanes. Your fear needs to be on your thumb that is getting ready to send a text that you could have waited to send because you're 18 inches away from another car and both of you are going 90 miles an hour. Combined, that's 180 miles an hour of death that could happen at the fraction of a second. But we do it so often till we don't even think about it. But it's actually, I think that's where the focus needs to be, texting and driving, than worrying about our air traffic control system.
Mr. Ben Tankard, everybody. So, Ben, I want to talk about your new single, Holy Forever, which was already an incredibly and beautifully written song, and you have added your touch onto it, and it's just made it all that much more special. Talk to us about your new single.
I always loved Chris Tomlin's work, and then of course, Cece did a wonderful rendition of it last time. And, as a musician, even though I write my own songs, Cory, I think I'm a pretty good writer. I'm smart enough to know that as an instrumentalist, half the battle is won, especially if you're trying to gain new ears, when you take something that people have already voted yes for and just take it to the next level. And so as a new recording artist, we've got some musicians out there. You can think about recording, man, don't do 10 original songs. You got two things going against you. People ain't never heard the music and they ain't never heard of you. If you take a song that somebody already loves and embraces, half the battle is already won. You only have to deal with the other half of who you are. And so Holy Forever it's a song that everybody loves. I just want to put my stank on it and re-release it, and the phone is ringing off the hook. A little different for me because, Cory, my stuff is more jazzy and smooth, but this one is kind of just pure worship song. And I encourage people, if you want to change your life for 2025, don't begin your day with your cell phone. Begin your day with 4 to 10 minutes of worship and praise with no notifications, and watch God breathe on your day and make it better because you gave him the first fruit of your day.
You heard me mention earlier, too, that you've worked with a myriad of wonderful artists, Twinkie Clark, Fred Hammond, John P. Key, Shirley Murdoch, Kelly Price, Take Six. We all remember that cover of You Bring Out the Best in Me with Yolanda Adams. What is your dream collaboration, or is there someone that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with in the future?
Oh, man. I would love to do something on the jazz side with Anita Baker. And I would love to do something on the gospel side. I'm just an old school man. And so what would it be like if me and Shirley Caesar did a track? Come on now. And so I'd love to do something with Shirley Caesar. I'd love to do something with Maverick City. I'd love to do something with Kenny G. He's the top in secular. He's the top selling musician in the world as a secular jazz musician, and I'm the top in gospel. What would happen if both tops came together and we collaborated on something? So that'd be cool.
Well, first, speaking of Shirley Caesar, we know Shirley Caesar's game for anything. I don't know if you remember. I'm saying I don't know if you remember, but I'm younger than you. I know the truth for Tone, where Shirley Caesar was rapping, talk about me just as much as you please, but the boy that you're talking going to sell CDs. Now she.
You went there, Cory.
She'll do it in a heartbeat. North Carolina's own, Durham, North Carolina's own, but. We don't see the church talks whenever we have those secular collaborations. I think of Tasha Cobbs and Nicki Minaj and how groundbreaking that record was about getting ready to see something I've never seen, and how the church just went in. Oh. But truth be told, I really wish that while understanding that we are set apart, I really do wish that there was more of an embracing of music geared towards the Lord. Even if we might be able to look with an ice cold eye and say they might not be at a place that I perceive I'm at in God. I really wish you wouldn't be so close-minded, because there have been so many great songs. Even speaking of Anita Baker, Ain't No Need to Worry What the Night Is Gonna Bring with the Winans was so groundbreaking, and the Winans had that mindset. There's no, how many lives are probably saved from Ain't No Need to Worry What the Night Is Gonna Bring?
Come on.
And Anita Baker's, don't get me started on my Anita impersonation.
Do you know how many people I could get saved if Kirk Franklin would take 30 minutes and teach me how to dance? Kirk, are you hearing this? Show our brother some moves. Man, you want to hear my Kirk Franklin story?
Yes.
This is hilarious. Okay, I moved to Nashville. I start working with Yolanda. Of course, we blow up and people start calling and say, I got a song. I want you to check me out. I see what you're doing with Yolanda. You can do the same thing with me. So Kirk Franklin corners me at Gospel Music Workshop. I think it was Philly or somewhere back in the 90s. And, this is young Kirk. This is Kirk when he wasn't moving as slow as he is right now. So you know how fast that must have been. Kirk looked like he had just drunk a 6-pack of 5-hour energy drink when he approached me. He was like, Tank. He has a boombox now and a cassette. He goes, Tank, I got a song. I see you work with Yolanda. I got a song for you to check out. Check this out. I want you to hear this. I said, Kurt, man, send it to my Nashville office. Man, I'm trying to, no. Okay, Kurt. So we go off into a quiet corner. He pulls out the boombox and he hits the button. What comes on is this. Someone asked a question. Someone asked a question, why do we sing? Why do we sing? And I said, Kurt, that actually is a pretty good song. Do you have the version without you? Because obviously, this is just a rehearsal tape where you're teaching the choir the song. He goes, nah, dog, this is it. There's something new I'm working on. I want to say it. Didn't they sing it? I do it. Didn't they sing it? And record it and put it out just like that. And this is what I said, Cory. Get out of here. That would never sell. Get out of here. That would never sell. So, hey, 20 million records later, I'm still kicking myself. But you know something? I believe I contributed to Kirk Franklin's success because anybody that has done anything worth doing had to have a few doors slammed in their face to develop that resilience. And so I can take credit for being one of the doors that was slammed that made Kirkland who he is today. Kirk, you owe me for saying no. Come on now.
You know, he's always just been innovative. I don't know if you know this. Dionne Warwick has a version of Why We Sing. There's a Southern gospel group, the Tallies. They have a version of My Life Is in Your Hands. Kurt's pen, even though things may be looked at as unconventional, his pen is always broken down every single door.
Did you see the old nursing home choir doing stomp?
Oh, yes.
The white Mormon
Yes, I did.
nursing home choir. So you want to stomp? It was hilarious.
Oh, gosh.
But do your thing, Kurt. I say be yourself, because everyone else is already taken, and you cannot make everybody happy. If you want to keep people mad, be a president, be a pastor, be a gospel artist. Because there's going to always be somebody that's on the sideline, and you could walk on water. You could walk on water in gospel. But there's going to be that one hater on the other side of the lake. When you get to the other side, they'll say, I told you that Negro couldn't swim. So just be yourself, man, because you're not going to reach everybody, and you're not supposed to.
Ben, we've talked about your successful career, and a few of the blessings that the Lord has shown on your life. What makes Ben Tankard happy?
Oh man, I'm really a homebody at heart. I travel a lot, but I love family. I love kicking back, snuggling with the wife. We've been married, celebrating 24 years this week. I had been married before. Jewel had been married before. So when we got married, we decided to come out with a white sheet of paper and start fresh, put this group together, blended family, and make it a Black Brady Bunch and let God mold us into the perfect family. So we're not perfect, but we're perfect for each other. And so I like just kicking it with my wife. We do everything together, business and ministry. We have 5 children. We have 8 grandchildren, and we have 1 great-grandchild. And so my job is to always take care of myself and take care of Jewel to where people will always say, what? I can't believe you have 8 grandkids. I can't believe you have a great-grandchild. You are a lie. That's my job, is to take care of ourselves to where people can't believe we have that.
Ben, I want you to, before we head out of here, I want you to leave us with a few words of encouragement. This can be whatever you believe that the Lord is saying right now in the earth. We know there's a whole lot going on. It could even be exclusive to music and the career side of that or the ministry side of that. You have this time to do that.
Okay, I appreciate that, man. And, all my social media is at Ben Tankard. Those who want to reach me, I still got the old school email, bentankard@AOL. So if you give me a holler, I'll send you the book, Full Tank Life, the PDF to it that I wrote several years ago. That Joel Osteen helped me get it published through his publisher. And it's available everywhere you see Joel, you see my book. But the name of the book is Full Tank Life. And the essence of that book is what I'm going to say now in encouragement to your people. John 10:10 says, the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But Jesus comes that we may have life more abundantly. One translation says, to the full till it overflows. I wrote the book, The Full Tank Life. It's not just a play on my name, Tank, but because it's something that everybody has experienced. Anytime you're driving, when that low fuel light come on, that changes your ride. Some people speed up, try to outrun the gas. Some people slow down, try to stretch the gas. But the ride changes when you know that you're short on fuel. And so I believe that God wants us to have a full tank in every area of life. And how do you fill the tank? You go back to the manufacturer. Sometimes we can go to a shade tree mechanic and get a car worked on. But if you got something serious going on with the vehicle, you have to take it back to the manufacturer that made it because it knows all about it. How better can we look at that than to do it with our own lives? God made you. He knows what you're going through. There's nothing that you face. There's no incident that you can bring to him that surprises him. So if we go back and yield our hearts to God and look for a fullness in every area, you'll be able to take that trip and have more fuel than you need, have more resource than you need, more patience, more grace, more humility, more talent, and more opportunities just because you embrace that John 10:10 more than enough philosophy. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And don't begin your day with your cell phone. Begin your day with worship and praise. Begin your day with Holy Forever.